Going to call the regular meeting to order. Requirements of the Sunshine Law have been met for Burlington County Times on January 7, 2024. An electronic notice was given to the NJAC 5:39-1.5. We will now start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We will now have a moment of silence. Roll call.
Committeewoman Berkeley.
Present.
Committeeman Carr.
Here.
Committeewoman Mungo. Committeewoman Wright.
Present.
Mayor Henley.
Present.
Also present, Township Solicitor, Township Administrator, Deputy Administrator, Police Chief, Fire EMS Chief.
We will now get into the workshop. It's Part 2, 2024 Annual Municipal Budget.
Township of West Hampton, proposed budget recap, calendar year 2024, March 19, 2024. Budget recap. Calendar year 2024 budget timeline. Budget workshop, March 19th at 6 p.m. Budget introduction, April 2nd at 7 p.m. Budget public hearing and adoption, May 7th at 7 p.m. Proposed budget, $14,464,365. 2023 adopted budget, $14,005,599. Increase over 2023, $458,765. Revenues, $5,226,652. Construction fees are down from 2023. EMS fees down from 2023. Court fees and federal and state aid funding. Capital. Let's see. I'm going to read the total or read the whole slide?
You can just let them know that the capital improvement projects that we have for the 2024 budget are for the police department,
Okay.
the vehicle, the alcotest.
Right. So, as Wendy stated already, Patrol Durango with upfitting, $110,000. The alcotest is $22,830. Public Works Facilities Improvements, $70,000. Leaf vacuum slash trucks, $560,000. The toter bins, $200,000. Fire and EMS equipment, $67,000. Tech upgrades, $14,305. PPE, $50,000 for a total of $1,094,135. And down payment of 5% would equal $54,706.75. Property tax levy. Operating expenditures increased by 6.7%. Local tax rate equals 0.79. It's an increase of 0.065. Deferral of school taxes in the amount of $435,000. It's an average residential taxpayer increase of $156 a year per household. That concludes the slide presentation. Any questions from the committee members?
How does the increase go along with the cap of 3%?
Are you speaking about the tax levy cap? Are you talking about the in caps 3%? Which 3%?
The cap of 3%, we're not allowed to increase it more than 3%, right?
It's not 3%, it's 2 point.
Add another
2.5.
percent.
So you're talking about the tax levy cap?
Yes.
We're actually allowed to increase over the 3.5 or 3% of the tax levy because we have banked cap from previous years that we never utilized.
Okay, thank you. Second question, we pay a lot, we take out a lot of bonds each year, and I've noticed that this year we're still taking out more bonds that we will be taking out than what we're paying off from previous bonds. And I just know that that gives me concern, and I guess Public Works is concerning me with $560,000. I did talk to Chris and get his take on this, but I'm wondering, have we really decided to go with the new kinds of bins for trash, or are we still up at discussing that?
Everything that's listed on this budget is up for discussion until the committee has decided to vote upon it.
We have decided to go with that kind of bins?
No. What she's saying is that,
It's hard to hear her.
no, that's okay. What she's saying is that this is all up for discussion. Like, we're not voting on it tonight. This is just a proposal, what they would need. Now, we can meet to adjust what we want to adjust or take off or talk about it, but this is pretty much the proposal of what was asked for, right? And then what it would take to honor all those things that they want.
Okay, then we'll be discussing whether we need this or not.
This is a Christmas list.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
From the committee? Now, we can open it for public comment.
That's okay, you don't have to comment.
Come on, Gary.
Correct.
So the items that we list in the capital improvement fund are items that are necessary for us to be able to conduct the business that we need to conduct for the residents. And unfortunately, they are very high price tags, so we have to bond for them. They're also capital items, so they have a shelf life of over 5 years, which is allowable for a large purchase to be outside of the in-cap purchases on the regular budget. So essentially, what we're asking for is for items that we are going to need to go forward with the services that we need to offer to the residents. So for example, these toter bins that are in question, when we reached out for pricing for these bins, we always select the lowest price that we receive that goes on this capital request. So we're not asking for the most expensive bins, we're asking for the least expensive bins. And as I stated in the last budget workshop, the reason that we're going to purchase these toter bins is because we're about to go out for bid for trash collection services. And if we do not allow for full automation of trash collection, it's going to either decrease the amount of bids that we receive back and essentially lock us into another bad contract, or it could end up costing us a lot more money depending on the bids that we do receive back from other companies.
Wendy, do you think, I didn't mean to jump in on your question, Gary, but Wendy, do you think that getting the bins will increase the amount of bids that we get?
Yes,
Because last time we only got 2 bids.
that's
One
because
was
we're
like
not fully
3.8 million,
automated.
and it was 3.7 million. So you think it'll increase the bids?
Yes, we were told last time by Trash Pro, who handles our bid process for us for waste collection, that the reason we only got 2 bids was because we aren't fully automated, that we would receive more bid responses if we had gone to full automation. The reason is it saves the trash companies more money to have less people in the truck to have to collect, whereas you'd normally have to have 3 people on a manual collection truck.
One more question. So, also, do you think that we'll get lower bids? I mean, I don't know, you may not know that, but if we get more bids, because trash went up by about, what, $2 million, I think?
I think trash collection as a whole is going to increase across the board. You're going to start seeing a lot more of you're going to start seeing a larger increase in the pricing for trash collection altogether. It really isn't going to make that much of a dent to go to a full automation, I think, these days, because everyone has inflated their costs so highly. I think that, yes, if we have full automation, we will receive more bids from different companies, but I can't tell you what that pricing is going to look like until we start getting those bids back.
Chris, can I say one thing? I promise, just real quick. Yep. So, then I would think that the benefit of getting the totes, I think we're at $193,000 or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah. The benefit, I would think the benefit then is that we'd have more options, because I don't think there's anyone who's been in love with our trash collection thus far, including, I just seen like a bunch of trash on the ground they didn't even pick up. I guess they knocked something over, but I've seen a lot of complaints. So where we're going with this is to have more options and maybe get a better trash collection company versus the one that we've had, right? Is what I'm thinking, is that's why we would need the toots?
That is correct.
Okay. I'm sorry, Chris.
So actually, I just sat in on a seminar today about solid waste collection. Right off the top, you're losing 50% of your potential bids by sticking with collection. As far as costs are concerned, and this isn't a solid number, but they threw out there, it's approximately $15 per household per month for collection. The previous trash collection, doing it manually currently, is like 14 and change. You can predict almost possibly a 50% increase per state manual collection.
So it'll go up from 3.8 million.
With manual, yes. With the automated collection, it should stay pretty much where we are now. Just maybe a slight increase in
So we're not saving any money by going to automated.
Yes, you are.
We are.
Yes, you are. Because ultimately, if you go out with a manual collection, you will see an increase.
And an automated would stay at $15.
Stay pretty. Now, this isn't a solid number because we have to get all the numbers back, but this is one of the numbers that they kind of threw at us. You're looking at approximately $15 per household.
Have you talked to other townships and asked how the public likes having this one box that gets picked up? I've heard Willingboro and Burlington have concerns because people who usually have 3 or 4 trash cans can only now have one big one, and they can't have a second one.
You're getting a trash can twice the size, though. You're getting a trash can twice the size.
Right, but if you're used to having 3 or 4 trash cans, that's not going to help you.
Well, I'll say this, I did hear that Willingboro had an issue, the residents had an issue there with the big trash cans. But I don't think that, and this is just my 2 cents, I don't think that people would rather pay more for a trash company that's not going to be very productive, that they're not going to be happy with, and substitute for, you know what I mean, maybe less trash. And they do also have the option to dump the trash up here if they have extra trash, correct? Not currently, but we might look at,
We work on the bid spec.
Yeah.
See the bid specs, more information. I reached out to the company, they should be getting back to us by Friday.
so maybe that could be an option if residents have more trash, but I don't want to pay more money for mediocre service. The more options that we have, you know, the more options that we have to choose from. And, you know, the residents may have to be transparent in delivering that information. Because everyone complained about the price of trash,
Right.
right?
But maybe there's an option that they could buy another trash can for $20, $25. That would make those people who have a lot of trash happy.
What do you mean?
So, Mayor, if
Yes.
I can. So one thing is, about 10 years ago when I was working in Cherry Hill, we went through this transition, and the feedback from the community was generally positive. One is a lot of the feedback was aesthetically, it's better. Instead of having large piles of trash out at the curb, you have uniformity in the trash bins. Secondly, all the trash bins have lids. So you don't have garbage overflowing, you have less that's missing the trash truck and falling on the streets. The largest concern that I recall from that was with people that the trash bins were too large, so they were having issues bringing it out to the curb. That was accommodated by by the companies at that time. They have smaller bins that they can provide to households that don't need the larger bin, to make it easier to bring back and forth. It is also on wheels, making it easier to go back and forth. And also what I have seen in some other towns is allowing for an extra bin. There's usually a fee associated with it. One, to pay for the bin, and also for the additional trash pickup, which goes towards your tonnage as well.
We've requested from Trash Pro to include that specification in the bids for a second bin to be present.
Anything, Committeewoman Berkeley?
No, thank you. So what we're going to ask of the committee is that you give us a direction for the budget so that when we are at the next meeting, we can introduce the budget, which budgets are resolutions, they are not ordinances. So even though I am saying the word introduce, you will be voting on the budget at the next meeting. The second meeting in May is a public hearing, and it is also a second budget reading, but you would have already voted on the budget document in the first meeting.
So on the CapEx, just so I understand the full definition of a CapEx expenditure. So for example, here's where I'm going with this. I know we've discussed this occasionally, is for the township to sort of undertake the duty to maintain the marquees in front of developments. I know where I live, there's two of them. One is damaged, and it does need to be repaired. Beyond that, I don't know who's responsible for it, but it may make sense for the township to sort of undertake that responsibility. Now, that may necessitate sort of expending funds to, I don't know, modernize the marquee, et cetera. Could that fit into the definition of the CapEx expense?
I don't believe that actually fits into a capital expense, no. But that is actually something that's on our radar to have accomplished this year, is to, I believe the committee has requested to have a sign committee, a neighborhood sign committee, so that we can undertake the project of replacing all of the neighborhood signs that have dilapidated in the last few years. We can use a number of different funding sources for a project like that, including community development funds that come from pilot programs, which we still have a balance of in one of our pilot programs. So it's something that's on our radar, but unfortunately it doesn't count for a capital expense under the budget.
And just to kind of give my 2 cents on the trash pickup, I think there is a sort of a health and safety aspect to the trash as well that I hope factors into your decision. I think it's healthier and safer to have the bin toters. There are people that just put out trash any old way, unfortunately, including food waste that's on top, which we know is against code here in the township. And it also could help mitigate when people simply just dispose of e-waste, which they're not supposed to do. I've seen mattresses, which they're not supposed to do, etc. So maybe a little, it's a shared responsibility, obviously, being a citizen here, but to help you make the right decision, I think that factoring in the health safety aspect and the aesthetic value also might make a determination on the decision of the budget. That's my 2 cents on that.
My only question is, I just bought a trash can for $135. What am I going to do with that? Want to buy it, Chris? I sell it for
You have about a year before this is going to come into effect.
Do we have anything else?
So committee members, do we have your approval to move forward with the budget as presented to you over the last 2 meetings?
We have committee members' approval to move forward with the budget, that's what she said.
So this won't be a vote on it. It's just a informal kind of straw poll. If there are any changes you'd like to see or anything that you'd like to be worked on by the administration prior to the introduction of the budget. If not, the budget as summarized to you is what's going to be introduced at the next meeting.
I have no major problems with the budget. I would like the Public Works budget to be talked about. It was hard last week to listen to the video and the discussion of the truck that's $560,000. I know that we need a new leaf vac, but when I was doing research, there's many different prices of leaf vac trucks, and this one is used for sewer and water and oil droppings and things like townships that have sewer and water, and they use it for many different things. And I think we could get a truck just for leaves at a much lower rate.
So if I could just point out procedurally, this is the budget. This is your setting them up, what will be introduced at the next meeting and then later adopted. It's just setting aside a line item in the budget to do it. Once the actual purchase of the truck, the bid specs will be developed or off of state contract or a consortium, but some way of purchasing it through local public contracts law, and that's where the actual specific vehicle will be chosen. And that will be put before the committee to approve a contract and approve the purchase of that item.
That is true, but this also affects the taxes that we have to collect.
It does.
And also, in the past, this is my third time, I've said things like this, and then I was told, well, you approved it in the budget, so we can spend that money. So,
Okay.
you asked if I had any questions.
Yeah, no,
I think-
if Chris, stop me if I'll try and summarize what you said last meeting, was that what was damaged was a tow-behind lead vac. And what Chris's plan was to replace that was a multi-purpose vehicle that can be used as a leaf vac for leaf season, but additionally can have a dump attachment, have a plow attachment, and be used basically year-round for many different purposes. So yes, it is quite a bit more expensive than the leaf vac that was damaged, but it will better serve the town with the many different purposes and the many different attachments that he's looking to acquire.
That's fine. My question is, we just bought a dump truck last year for $250,000. How many of these big trucks do we need? And you asked my opinion, and that's my opinion. I just think $560,000 is a lot.
So, in our,
I know, we talked.
so in our department, we have two large vehicles. One is medium reach, no season, we get very large forms. This truck also replacing four large vehicles. Last year alone, we took probably $35,000 to repair it. On that riding off it, truck's over 20 years old. It's 2005. This is,
So couldn't we buy something like the dump truck that cost half as much?
dump truck's going to cost you $300.
No. Something similar to the size of the dump truck for a leaf vac.
It wouldn't perform the duties that needed at it because of the weight restriction. See, the truck there is specifically spec'd out for the weight rating we need to do.
Thank you for your opinion.
I'm fine with us moving forward.
So what we will do is we will prepare the budget document for the next meeting, April 2nd, and at that meeting, you will be voting on the budget document. Just keep in mind that although it is a two-part process, it is a resolution, not an ordinance. So once you vote, it is done.
Fair enough.
So it is 6:27, and we do not have to resume the regular meeting until 7 p.m. Did you want to take a break?
What's our other option? To finish and wrap it up?
No, we have to wait till 7.
Okay, then, Sound like a question mark after the break. It was a
Right.
period. Yeah, okay.
We'll now take a break. Thank you.
We are live.
Welcome back. We are now going to start with a presentation for Fire/EMS Department and Police Department.
Yes.
All right, so, not really going to talk about the budget tonight, because obviously we already went through that part of it. But I was asked this year to complete a year-end report, something that West Hampton Police has never had in the past. It was always a goal of mine when I was lieutenant, kind of started working on it, so I kind of threw this together within the last week or so. So what your email is pretty much our report for the year. I was just going to clean up a little bit more before I actually do publish it out to the public via the website and our Facebook page. But I kind of like just highlighted some of the events. Obviously, I was the new chief that took over in September of this year. Worked within confines of the budget. I thought our department did really well this year. We were able to add a lot of new officers in 2023. Obviously, we had a few retirements, 2 retirements. Administrative staff is still staffed by myself and 2 lieutenants. I included in this report our organizational principles and values. Most of it can also be found on the township website. Our department highlights, this is something I was striving to improve, especially our community engagement and interactions with the schools. So in the beginning of 2023, I was approached by a man named Alex Mann, who is a 22-year-old male from Pennsylvania suburbs, suffers from autism and Asperger's and 18, and he asked if he could come to our police station just for a tour. So we thought about it. I said, yeah, I guess that'd be a good idea. And he said, listen, when I come out, I'm going to talk to you about police, emergency services dealing with people that either have autism or on the Asperger's spectrum. Very important to me. I have a son who is on that same spectrum. So I did a little research about Alex, found out that he had been to like about 280 departments at the time, so we had him come to West Hampton. He met with a few of the guys that were working that day. Pictures, we provided him like a customized uniform that he wore. He talked a little bit to the officers, and he gave us a good insight of our officers dealing with people on the autism and the Asperger spectrum, especially because in West Hampton, a lot of people don't realize we do have a large population of people that are under that spectrum, even with the special services schools and everything like that. So in the future, we're going to invite them back to teach like a half an hour block once we do our departmental trainings during the year. So, and pretty much since then, he's been to now like almost 400 departments. So it's a pretty interesting story. If you Google his name, Alex Mann, on YouTube, Facebook, he's been all over the tri-state area doing these visits. Our female officers, the unsung heroes sometimes of the department, led by Linda Schafalo. She joined the National Women's Law Enforcement community through New Jersey chapter. So it's something she was passionate about, and now she has our other female officers, Officer Lores and Officer Moran. They're all going to attend the conference again this year. We did several career days, either at RCBC, local, rowing at the actual rowing campus down in Glassboro. We did one up at Rutgers University, all in an effort to entice our recruitment efforts in hiring new police officers. We had many events at the Special Services School. We proudly brought back the police trading cards, which was a pretty good hit. And now I have to hurry up and get some new ones in for all the new officers we hired. So we're going to add our new 5 or 6 officers, anyone that was promoted after the fact. So we're going to re-release that to the public and the children in the upcoming weeks here. We worked with Alex's Lemonade Stand. We had a successful Bring Your Kid to Work Day, partnered with the fire department and our Public Works Department. So we're doing that again. That's going to be another big event here in the next few weeks. We take pride. We have the Burlington County Fallen Officers Memorial Service. It'll be in May of this year, but since it does fall West Hampton Township, it is held at our fire academy in our jurisdiction. I myself am on the committee this year, so we'll make sure we have that date for you by next meeting, so you can push that date out to the public, which we think is important. Community events continued. We did Slurpee with a Cop. We did Coffee with a Cop. 7-Eleven partnered with us. It gave us all kinds of free coupons, pretzels, hot dogs, you name it. We pushed it out as much as we could to the children. We did a West Hampton Fire Police middle school volleyball game that was pretty successful. When I took over as chief, the very first event I did right before school started off, we did a end of the summer ice pops with cops, where we went around a few areas in town and had ice pops with the kids. One thing that keeps getting mentioned to me is my officers taking the time to fill in at the crossing guard position. So everyone knows, in West Hampton, we only have one crossing guard spot in our whole jurisdiction, right in front of Holly Hills on the corner of Ogden and Lambert. Usually staffed. We had, obviously, our long-term crossing guard passed away a few years ago. So in trying to fill that spot, it's been very tough. It's only like two shifts a day. Each shift's like 20, 30 minutes long. So, I had to have the officers fill, and they continue to do it. And the families and the feedback I get from them, they love it. The young guys are out there. They're out there crossing with the kids. They're giving high fives. Everyone loves it. Career moves in the department. We had one officer attend the Command and Leadership Program, Sergeant Davis. He graduated from that. Myself, I completed the 9-month CPM program. In the fall, we partnered with the rec department, did the trunk or treat events. I believe we also did one over at Special Services School. Holiday happenings, we did a successful coat drive. I had some assistance from the mayor's contacts, and he generously donated a lot of coats for that. Chief Santa may have made an appearance in the building, and then we also took part in the tree lighting ceremony in West Hampton. Now, like I said, this is the first time I did this, and I realized I missed some stuff, so I had to go back. We did our first annual Youth Police Academy, which was a hit. We're already scheduling the second one. It's going to be posted very soon. And then we're also going to do an Adult Police Academy, that is in the works as well, where we're going to open it up to the public, like a few nights, probably like a weeknight for like 2 or 3 hours, and we're going to run that over like a 1 or 2 month period. So that's something that we're getting ready to push out as well. National Night Out was always a success. We're grateful to be back at the BCIT. In the years past, during COVID, kind of made us small. It was kind of losing that flavor, so we went back to BCIT, where we're welcomed, and we have the room to expand on that again this year. I included in there all the officers that work, the different squads that we have in the town. We have 4 different squads, and the squad usually comprised of a sergeant and 3 patrolmen. We have 2 canines now. Detective Bureau is staffed by 3 individuals, 1 supervisor. Highlighting our departmental meeting and awards. I just went over there, basically said what officers received what awards. Our Officer of the Year last year was Tyler Morrison. Our new officer will be next week. Is our departmental meeting on the 26th, so I'll be happy to share that in my next monthly report. What officers received what awards for the year 2023, given out in 24. Troy Green, we work with Troy Green. If a lot of people don't know who Troy Green is, he's a great guy in our neighborhood of Lumberton where he lives. He has a group called Return to Kindness. We worked with Troy on a lot of endeavors over the years. I first got involved with Troy many years ago when Sean Cullen had passed away. He was a New Jersey State Trooper, killed in line of duty. Me and him helped develop and put out the Cullen cruiser that we had in his honor. The chief awards last year were Patrolman Robam and Patrolman Murado. And then there's some also more departmental awards for anything that we deemed like the top DUI arrest officer in the department, any of our detectives that work on these complex cases. We had some officers involved in a barricaded subject as well. We actually had promotions last year. Lieutenant Chavallo, right at technically the end of 2022 into 23. She was promoted to lieutenant. She's the second female officer ever to hold this position in our department. Sergeant Welty was sworn in as the rank of sergeant. Also Sergeant Redfield, he got sworn as a detective sergeant in late September. I myself was sworn as the new chief. We said goodbye to some friendly faces. Sergeant Gleason retired with 25 years of service. Retirement of Chief Enton also in September. And then our hiring of our new officers, like I talked about. Patrolman Sweeney in March of 23, Patrolman Whitehouse April of 23, Patrolman Jimenez May of 23, Patrolman Council in late May, early June of 23, and Patrolman Raylos rounded out our hiring for last year in September of 23. I said our K-9 unit went through some leaps and bounds last year. We still have Patrolman Chalice in his K-9 blue. We had K-9 in the making. We at this time also use K-9 Betty with Patrolman Woods. She's our new addition to the force, and I can successfully say she's had now 2 collars as far as catching criminals, and she's had 1 successful track in finding a missing person. So we're proud about that, and we look forward to more things. In memory of, we did lose one of our retired officers, John Polk. He did pass away last year, and we honored him, and we were happy to participate in his service. We still have 1 SRO officer, Patrolman Michelle Moran. She's stationed at the BCIT campus, where she does day-to-day SRO activities up there. Then usually in the summertime, I use her to do most of my community service outreach, community service policing, and everything that goes with that. Some goals for 2024 real quick. We're going to have an extensive review of our written directives. It's time they need to be updated and everything like that, so myself and the lieutenants will be working on that. Streamlining our digital evidence management system. This was part of my CPM capstone project. It was brought to light in January, especially when we had a flood in our basement of the police station. We had extensive damage to the evidence room, had to be gutted and redone, so we are still in the process of making most of our evidence digital and having a inventory that's more streamlined for us to keep track of everything we've had in the Department of Insurance. More hands-on training days. We've already did 2 days a year, and my goal is to make that 4 days a year, maybe add some active shooter training in our places of worship and our warehouses, since we do have an substantial amount of warehouses in our jurisdiction. My last goal is going to be for historical documentation of our police department. I'm the last of the old-timers, I guess I can say now, so a lot of the history is going out the window as far as what our department, how it was created, the officers that serve, so I'm going to actually work on that. It's going to be one of my projects related to the college classes I'm taking to organize our historical information of our department. And there will be some reorganization of the rank structure as well. The last part of my yearly report is found on the website already. It's our internal affairs and our professional standards report. I'm required by law every January to post that anyway on our website. That lists all internal affairs complaints that my officers investigate, how they're handled, any discipline that's given out. Part of that is a major discipline report that the Attorney General also advises us that we have to post. I'm happy to say there's not any officers on that list. Most of our internal affairs issues are minor in nature, but you can also see that report that's posted online. And the last part of the report that's really posted is I just put on there to show the reports that we have to do. So I think we're up to like about almost 20 reports now between myself and the 2 lieutenants that we have to do, sent into the state of New Jersey, Attorney General's office, County Prosecutor's office, other outside agencies, was the hiring report. So the hiring report is very detailed. You'll see it. It's about 24 pages long. It includes Anybody that comes in the door wants to apply for West End, we give an application out to. It tracks where they went in the process. If they just dropped out, they didn't show interest or anything like that. So I thought it was really important to the public. And this is my first, like I said, time doing the yearly report. I saw some ideas from other towns, and I can only grow on it from here. So I hope the public enjoys it once it's printed and out to the public.
Any questions? I noticed you recognize a lot of people's achievements of your officers, but I just want to say congratulations to passing the CPM course as well.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Our report was published today on Facebook and Instagram. It's also on the township's website for your viewing pleasure. First, I just want to go over our mission, our vision, and our values. Our mission is to protect life and property by providing the highest level of service to the community. Our vision is to raise the standard of community service by honoring tradition, professionalism, and customer service. We'll create leaders through training, education, and strong ethical values. And our values are character, integrity, and accountability, which you'll see written on all the fire trucks and ambulances, and it's around the firehouse, and we try to live by them as much as we can. In 2023, we completed the following accomplishments. We transitioned to a new software that was purchased by the county that required us to move to. The old system we had been using was almost 20 years old, so we were pretty comfortable with that system. So there was a large learning curve in the new software and took some time to get used to that. We received federal funds for the purchasing of PPE. We purchased and installed new gear lockers to maximize space within the cramped firehouse. We purchased and issued new RTF equipment for active shooter incidents. This is essentially ballistic type vests for our firefighters and EMTs to wear to go in alongside with the police department if there's an active shooter in the school, so that way we can get the patients out as quickly as possible, even if there's still a threat within the school. We purchased and issued new policy software to reduce liabilities. We conducted our pre-build conference for the new ladder truck that was approved a year and a half ago. We sold the old ladder truck for $300,000 to a broker and has since been, I believe, resold to another department. They reached out to me and asked me what was wrong with it, and I said no comment, and that problem has moved on. We did the pre-build conference for 2 ambulances, just to review sort of the state of how things are so backed up. The first ambulance was approved in 2021, I believe, and is expected to be delivered in June of this year, so we're still seeing a 2 to 3 year timeline on purchasing of these types of equipment. With that, we also sold the 2 obsolete ambulances that they're going to replace, and they will be officially sold when the new ambulances come. So we have an agreement with the seller that they're not going to take ownership of the ambulances until we get the new ambulances. We've completed required Medicare ground ambulance data collection, which was not fun. We reduced on-the-job injuries by 25% over 2021 and 2022, and we hired 3 additional full-time employees. In 2023, we faced the following challenges. We had multiple full-time employees out for an extended period of time at the same time for various reasons. With the lack of a ladder truck, it's become difficult to sort of handle certain calls within the township because of that. And then one of our biggest problems is multiple calls of service at one time. What that means is the pager goes off for a call, and before that call's over, another call goes out, or a third call goes out. And we just don't have the people or the equipment to stay up with that constant call volume. Everything, for whatever reason, happens in threes. So as soon as the first call goes out, within 10 minutes, I'm guaranteed to have a second call, and within 10 minutes of that, I'll have a third call. And then it'll be quiet for 3 hours, and then we start it all over again. In 2024, we have the following goals set. We're going to continue to apply for additional federal funding. On that note, we received $72,000 last week in a federal grant for equipment and PPE. And we also were notified that we got $1 million grant for renovations and/or construction of a new firehouse. We had applied for $7 million and only got $1 million. So it's something. So now we just got to figure out how we're going to spend that, and we'll figure that out in the future months. Another thing we're looking to accomplish is settle the current firefighters' contract, reset expectations for all employees, which we already did. We met individually with my lieutenants and let them know what my expectations were and also what their expectations are of the firefighters that work under them, and we sort of did a hard reset to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do 100% of the time. Increase daily staffing when appropriate, improve fire code enforcement by better communication and keeping on schedule. So we are required by law to inspect every business within the township, and what we have found is mostly because of having multiple full-time employees out at different times, the fire code enforcement sort of takes the back seat because of the number one priority is answering the call. So we're trying to front load as many inspections at the front of the year while we have full staffing and sort of knock out as many as we can. So we've been working on that. We continue to reduce on-the-job injuries. We're also looking to review and reduce records retention. We have files that are 30, 40, 50 years old that we didn't know if we could get rid of or not. We've been working with Wendy to properly dispose of them legally so that way we can sort of free up some file space. Increase our cybersecurity through upgrades in hardware and policies. Continue to reduce the exposure of on-the-job injuries, and also create a new 5-year strategic plan for 2024 and through 2028 with input from our members, township officials, and residents. In 2023, we responded to 4,383 incidents. This is a decrease of 557 calls over 2022. A lot of this has to do with better code enforcement, better fire code enforcement, and also essentially telling our neighbors we're not doing it for free anymore. So there's been some changes in where we go and how we go, so that's helped that. However, at the same time, our call volume in town has increased. So although our overall call volume is down, our in-town call volume is up. Of those 4,383 calls, 70% of them are EMS responses, 10% are accidents, and 20% are fire calls. We responded understaffed 32% of the time. What that means is that the fire truck had 3 or less people on it, and we missed 4% of our incidents total. And our busiest day of the week is Monday. So just a quick snapshot of the calls themselves. About 2,300 of the 4,000 calls are in West Hampton, and then the rest of them are spread out amongst East Hampton, Mount Holly, and Willingboro, with the majority of them. In 2023, we responded to 17 overdoses, 37 cardiac arrests, 32 traumas, 9 car fires, 32 dwelling fires. We extricated patients from 21 vehicle accidents, and we responded to 3 hazardous materials calls. The department completed 6,220 hours of training. Each shift is required to train at least once a day in some way, shape, or form, and this number, I can tell you, is very grossly under of what it is, because I know that we're not the best at putting in the training reports every day. So again, one of those back to the resetting the expectation is making sure that this stuff is documented all the time. The Fire Prevention Bureau, like I said, they're required to do inspections, did 364 fire code inspections. We did 155 home resale smoke alarm inspections, 23 fire investigations, and 129 code enforcement complaints. We do handle the code enforcement portion for the town. Like I said, there was 129 code enforcement issues that were addressed. That is all I have, unless there's any questions or...
Thank you.
Thank you.
Committee members, I just want to let you know that both of the annual reports were posted on the township's website, so they are able to be viewed by the public and the committee.
Thank you. Approval of minutes, March 5th, 2024, regular meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Berkeley?
Abstain?
Carr?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 301.
We will now open the meeting for public comment on agenda items only. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Remember, this is for comment only.
Mayor Henley, I would like to invite our construction official, Ray Holshoe, up to the microphone so that he can go over with the committee and the residents the construction report, and if there's any questions.
Excuse me. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. I understand that you were asking, you had some questions concerning the report that it went out, and I'm here to answer those questions. I mean, it's a very simple report. Sorry. Like one of the things that was brought up, and I listened to your minutes to see what was going on, the resident was questioning some of our fees and everything. One of them was the administrative fee. How come we have 0 administrative fees in it? Well, the way the fees are set up in the state of New Jersey, if you have your own in-house inspectors, as West Hampton does, it has a shared service agreement with Hainesport, you can't charge those administrative fees. What happens is when you hire a third party, you have then the right to charge an administrative fee to cover the costs that are associated with that third party inspection. So West Hampton should almost always have a 0 on these line items. You know, you're not going to see something, unless you decide to go third party. But then, of course, that changes. You have to pass the ordinances, et cetera, et cetera. Another question was, how come the fire department can have fire codes and we have no 0 fire code? We show plan review on that. Well, the fire department, and I'm sure you'll agree, and my department are 2 different things scheduled by 2 different codes. They're under the Uniform Fire Code. We're under what's called the Uniform Construction Code, which basically says we have to do A, B, C, and D. I truly do not know how they handle their fee schedule, but it's a little bit different than mine, and we don't get involved in that. We do cooperate with each other on what's got to go when we have CCO inspections, et cetera, we do cooperate with them. But as far as the fee schedule breakdown, I have no knowledge of that whatsoever. I wouldn't even be able to answer that question. I know a question was risen that we see on here that we had 3 CCO inspections, and that our fee schedule says that we charge $150, but we charge $500. Well, the reason for that is we have $150 for, as the gentleman said, R3 inspections, R4 and R5. However, when we get into commercial sites, we charge $200. The report that was issued to you showed 2 residential, which would equal $300, and 1 commercial, which was $200, which comes up to the $500 that was charged. Another question that was brought up was on the certificate of occupancies. We have like 27 COs. Certificate of approvals and only 1 CO. Well, without going into a lot of details, I know you're busy. A certificate of approval is something that's issued for non-occupancies, decks, heaters, basements, stuff like that. A CO, which is a certificate of occupancy, is a new structure that's never been installed before, such as an addition, a new house, stuff like that, where that issue has never been occupied before. Now you issue a CO. Otherwise, you get what's called a certificate of approval. Okay. And I believe that was majority of them. I mean, I looked at most of it, and there were things, and I agree with the gentleman that this is a complicated form, and unless you're used to this thing, you may not understand it. The question was, well, can we adjust this? The state of New Jersey established these forms. We have to abide by these forms. You're not permitted, and I'm sure the fire department would agree, to say, well, I want my own form. And the state looks very unhappy on that. They want us to use what forms they got. Now, as always, we're here to help explain that to yourself, residents, the administrator, whatever it may be. And I'm always at your disposal to do that. But we have to continue with these forms that are, they can be complicated if you don't know how it works with COs, CAs, certificate of occupancies, permits, who the UFC does and what the UCC does. I agree, they are confusing. But other than that, we have to go by them. I won't get too much more deeper. I'll be here all night. If I get talking, you can't shut me up. Questions?
There was one more question, I think, about the pools. Who is in charge of the yearly inspection of?
Correct, thank you. Yeah, what happens is the state passed probably about 12 years ago. There was a lot of unfortunate incidents where children were hurt in pools and everything. So they say, okay, now on commercial pools only, you have to get an annual inspection. That annual inspection must occur yearly. Now, what happens It's their responsibility, like the hotels or any aggregate, the township does. I just did a township pool recently. And what happens if they don't do it, when the county comes by to give their certificate to open, if they don't see the sticker from our department, they do not allow them to open until they get it. So yes, we do make inspections on commercial pools only, not on residential. And we hopefully never will, because that would be a nightmare, you know.
Yeah, I think the ordinance may read or be vague as to the type of pool possibly.
Well, we issue permits for pools, residential pools now, not commercial. Well, even commercial pools, we have a fee that's under the Uniform Construction Code. That's the basic fee that goes out for your electric, your plumbing, your building end and that. Now, when it comes to the annual pool inspection, that's a totally different fee that must be done annually.
I appreciate it, thank you.
I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot all about the pools.
I know you're super busy too, I appreciate you coming.
Jared, you had something?
Well, just on that, the way I read the ordinance, it was an annual, and I believe it was to examine the electric components that go into the in-ground swimming pool, or a pool of some sort. And it's an annual fee, and it's paid. There's a cost that's associated with that. So I guess I was trying to figure out if that was the responsibility of the construction office, or, I don't know, the electrical subcode person that does the fees.
Yeah, you're correct. It is an annual fee. You're correct in the fact that it is an inspection of the electrical systems. Now, that includes the bonding, the electric, everything that concerns that pool for life safety issues. It is controlled by, I'm also the electrical subcode, so I have a couple of extra hats. So yes, we go out, we check the bond, and we check that. And every 5 years, they have to give us a certification from an electrical contractor so that he checked every point on there in addition to what we do, or we're not allowed to issue it. But it's only for commercial pools. Thank God it's not residential.
That ordinance doesn't apply to residential pools?
No, it does not. There is a separate National Electrical Code, NFPA 70, regulates the installation of residential pools for the electrical system, the buildings in, plumbing, it regulates all of that.
All good?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there any other question you have? Well, I'm here, you got me, you know.
You said the certificate of, is it occupancy for new construction?
Correct.
So if I read the ordinance right, is it, I'm sorry, maybe I didn't get this right. Maybe I can use it to require certificate of occupancy. With all these new apartments that's going up there at Mill Run, each one of those individual apartments?
You got your apartments, and then you got your, D.R. Horton is building the townhouses over. The apartments just completed their last building of inspections for them, so basically they're done, with the exception of one thing, their pool's not open, that'll happen sometime in the spring. So yes, there's a certificate of occupancy that's in every one of them. Now, the townhouses are the same thing. We do an inspection, once inspections have been completed, and all of the outside information has been given. Township, county, soils conservation, when all that is done and the township engineer says to me, okay, you can issue a CO, then we issue COs on them at that point in time.
What about leases like sublease?
Pardon me?
Sublease?
That is something that we do under rental. We go out and that's where your CCO will come into place. Okay, we don't get involved. And the fire department is involved with that too. So you'll see both of us going out there for that. I mean, I don't exactly know what their job is, but basically smoke detectors, fire extinguisher, means of egress, you know, generally, and then we check it to make sure that there's nothing that's going to be harmful to the occupant, whatever it may be. I'm here if you have more questions.
We would do an inspection, which is happening right now. A lot of the townhouses that are getting built, they're being purchased and then rented out. So they're getting inspected by the construction office, and then we're inspecting them before anybody moves in almost a second time, because they're being leased. If they weren't being rented out, and the owner was taking it, we wouldn't be involved. The same thing that happened with the apartments. as they change over, we're going to do an inspection of each of them.
Now, see, basically on the apartments, we wouldn't get involved with a re-inspection on everything. That is up to USC to take care of all of that. We don't get involved with that at all. It's just to be too burdensome on everybody.
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Olson.
Welcome. You're always welcome to stop in my office if you have questions. Hey, that's what they pay me for.
Closed for public comment. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 46-24, payment of vouchers. This resolution approves the payment of voucher bills through 3/5/2024. Do we have a motion?
Berkeley move?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Consent agenda resolutions note. Consent agenda items are required to be routine and will be enacted with one single motion. Any items requiring expenditure are supported by the certification of availability of funds. Any items requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. I will ask for 47-24 to be removed.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion for 4124, 4824, 4924, and 5024 to be approved.
Second. Any discussion? Roll call.
What are we roll calling?
Consent agenda minus 47
This is consent agenda minus 47-24.
The correctional services, is that what that is?
Yes.
Okay, it's hard for me to hear over.
Oh, no worries. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is that any better? Roll call?
Berkeley?
Yes.
Carr?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
47-24. Resolution on awarding contract professional services.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for 47-24 and nominate Smith Bridge.
Hi. For whom?
Smith Bridge.
Sim?
Smith Bridge.
Okay, I'm concerned about that because they are in Maple Shade, they have one lawyer. And if they take on our prosecution, they do criminal defense work, and in Burlington County, if you are a prosecutor, you cannot do any defense work in that county. So that's what when I gave this form to you, I looked them all up, and that's why I said that. I don't know if they're willing to not do, other defense work in Burlington County to be our prosecutor. I defer to our attorney.
Generally speaking, responses to RFPs, one of the elements of it is a conflict of interest. That by applying, you're saying that you have no conflict of interest. Any attorney that's going to do prosecution work is aware of the state law that prohibits doing any criminal defense work within the county. So I'm confident that they're aware of this prohibition and are willing to take it on.
Any other issues? Committeeman Berkeley?
No, but that was my concern about this. There's two others that are just too far away. And there's another one that, KGMG, has already just taken on 2 new townships in Burlington County, and I was told by one of them that they're already overwhelmed. So it looks like this is probably, Smith Bridge is probably the only one that would be acceptable and able to take on the job if they wanted.
And honestly, I believe our judges worked with them before. So, you want to try to keep things smooth and consistent, especially because we're in the middle of the year. So the fact that the judges worked with them before, I think, makes it a marriage. And, obviously, if it doesn't work out next year, we get a fresh reappointment for that situation anyway. So that's kind of the way I looked at it.
So do we amend this resolution to add Smith Bridge as our prosecutor?
No.
Because there was no prosecutor mentioned in this resolution.
So the motion that's pending is...
Odie made the motion.
What?
Odie made the motion for Smith Bridge.
Oh, yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, that's okay. Do we need a second? Do we have a
So
second?
that's the amendment to the resolution.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm sorry, like I said, I can't,
There's no worries.
can't hear.
Right, second.
Any discussion? Well, we had discussion. Roll call?
Berkeley?
Yes,
Carr?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
We'll now open the meeting for public comment. Please remember to state your name and address for the record. Remember, this is for comment only. You had your hand up.
So, Gary Berbera, 138 Winstead. Well done with the budget workshop. I really appreciate that. I learn every time I come to that, so, keep up the good work. Just on that, I know that I've been seeing in the press about reduced state aid to everyone in our state. So, I don't know, maybe the legislature will decide that they want to increase state aid, so I got fingers crossed for that. And I know that everyone's working hard on additional grant money for the fire station. So, Craig, it made me think I read this interesting article about Windmere Fire Station in beautiful Edmonton, Canada. That may be a trip we need to take, because apparently this is state-of-the-art, and it's kind of the gold standard for fire stations throughout all of Canada. And there's two kind of unique architectural aspects to that fire station, apparently. They don't have roller doors. They have bifold doors that apparently open up a lot faster, which I knew nothing about. And then also, in terms of the aesthetic for the fire personnel that kind of live, I guess, at the station, it has a very zen-like atmosphere to kind of calm and keep everybody, in the right frame of mind. So I encourage you to take a look at that station. Maybe we can do a video Zoom call with some of our friends in Canada on that. I did take a quick skim of the police report, but Craig, I didn't get a chance to look at yours, but well done on the police report. For your history project, I don't know, maybe you should contact someone in BSA, Boy Scouts. Might be a nice service project that they could get involved with, so that could maybe extra pair of hands for you there. So just something for you to think about. I stopped over at the Walgreens. They're closing, as you know, to say goodbye to some of the workers over there. And I guess it just kind of came to my mind thinking about that is, do we get notified when these retailers are closing in our township at all? No? There's nothing we can do to kind of figure out if there's a state, local, or county effort to kind of see if the retailer might change their mind before they leave the township? Just something to think about in the future.
I'm sorry, I'm listening. Give me one second. Oh, you went to go get it. I'm sorry. I apologize.
All right. So that was just that. And then also, do you, maybe the staff, Wendy, I guess, do you get the minutes from the various HOAs or condo associations? They don't send them to you? The only reason I'm bringing that up is I happened to look at the minutes from the November condo board at West Hampton Courts, and what caught my eye in there was that apparently our township was invoiced, according to them, for $32,000 for snow and lighting. And then there was some sort of dispute where the township said, well, no, it's not really 32, it's around 3,200. They didn't understand the contract, so they were, quote, their attorney was in touch with the township. So I was kind of curious, what are we being invoiced for? But, if you want to help everyone understand what that is all about. But I think just for, other purposes, it might be helpful if you were officially CC'd on all of those various, minutes that those boards and associations have in the township. It could give you greater insight into the needs of the community. I just happened to spot it when I walked past their clubhouse. So, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Gary. Motion to close for comment, all in favor?
Aye.
Dates to remember, next township meeting will be April 2nd at 7 p.m. The Historic Commission, May 27th at 7 p.m. Land Development will be April 3rd at 7 p.m. Recreation Committee meeting will be April 10th at 7 p.m. And the Easter egg hunt will be March 23rd at 9:30 p.m. Thank you. Any committee liaison reports or comments?
I'd like to congratulate especially our chiefs who gave such a wonderful report at the end of the year. You're certainly doing a lot. And, Craig, to say that we asked for $7 million and only got $1 million is not a disappointment. I would love to get $1 million in the mail. And I'm sure you'll be able to use that to improve the firehouse. But all of our professionals are just doing such a great job. I really appreciate you all. Thank you.
I echo those comments. Thank you to the chiefs. Thank you to the whole shoe and the director of public works as well. Thank you.
Same, I echo the same support. Oh, thank you. We had a movie day. Timbuktu had a movie day. We had, support from the police and the fire, and for everything, for most of the things that they do, the police and fire support, and they never disappoint. I mean, you ask them for one thing and they do two things. So, aside from fighting crime and putting out fires, they really do care about supporting their community. And I couldn't ask for a better fire or police department, and it never changes. I mean, I don't know what'll happen when Craig retires, but I can tell you from when I've been here, when Otto retired to Ent retired, and, hopefully, maybe someday I'll be around long enough where Chief Ferguson will retire, but it never changes. So that shows that they have great leadership, and they've been coached by great leaders, and I'm sure they'll be continuously to coach the people coming up to be great leaders as well. So thank you for that. I appreciate Bob. I appreciate Chris. And the residents, Ray, and not a resident Ray, but Ray, coming out well as the residents. And Wendy, I will always say, there's probably not a harder working person in show business than Wendy. No matter what goes on, she always makes sure that she shows up, and delivers the best product she can. So, that's much appreciated. With that being said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Roll call?
Berkeley?
Yes?
Carr?
Yes.
Wright? Yes. Mayor Henley?
Yes.
Mayor Snyder?
Thank you. How you doing?